Said to myself that I wasn't gonna film today, but I looked so damn cute that I had to. Hello everyone, my name is Krystle, just in case you're new here, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a video talking about all the books that I would love to get to this year, and they've been on my TBR for quite some time, so it's about time I get to them this year. Now with my trusty cup of coffee, since it is mid-afternoon, it is time for some extra coffee. Let me just take a sip before we get into this video. Okay, so the first book that I would really like to get to, I have a lot of series that I'd like to get to in this pile, but the first book would be The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I have been wanting to read The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series for such a long time. I was a huge fan of the movies growing up, but I just never got a chance to read the series, and I feel like I'm gonna love it so much. So I am looking forward to getting to this, and hopefully you will see it in a very near future TBR video. But this is the prequel to The Lord of the Rings, in case you didn't know, and this follows Bilbo Baggins and how he becomes the Hobbit, I think. Just a fantasy world that I want to be in, and I'm just so excited to get to it finally. I said to myself for 2021 that I wouldn't go crazy with book hauls, that I will just read the books that I own, because I've been unhauling so many books that I'm just know I'm not going to read. So why do I keep buying them? You know what I mean? So I'm trying my hardest not to buy a crazy amount of books. I've been doing my normal pre-orders and things like that for new releases that I'm looking forward to, but other than that, I'm not buying many backlist titles right now. I'm just trying to attack what I got. So the next book that I'd like to get to is Throne of Glass, which is basically the whole series of Throne of Glass. So that'll probably start with the Assassin's Blade, which I have a beautiful box set down there of it, the UK box set, and I just don't want to take it out of the box. Plus, it's very difficult to get the book out of the box. I don't know if any of you guys have that, the UK covers, but they're very hard to get out of the box. But I'm looking forward to getting to Throne of Glass. I love Sarah J. Maas. I love A Court of Thorns and Roses and that entire series, so I'm hoping that I will really enjoy this series having read that. But I did give Throne of Glass a try, I want to say like 5-6 years ago, and it didn't really click with me, but maybe because I am now more familiar with Sarah J. Maas's writing and I am a huge fan, I think I might really enjoy this series. Plus, I've been in such a mood for fantasy, and also I know that there's a witch in here, or like a sorceress, that everyone keeps telling me that I'm gonna love, and I just can't wait to get to that. So definitely high up on my TBR of things to read. And I feel like I can't call myself like an official booktuber if I haven't read Throne of Glass yet. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a staple in everybody's collection and everybody's memoirs of reading, basically. Yeah, so I cannot wait to get to Throne of Glass ASAP, like maybe when I stop this video. The next book that I'd really like to get to is The 13th Tale, and this is by Diane Setterfield. I've heard nothing but amazing things about this book. I want to say it's a literary fiction, but it does have a little bit of magical realism to it, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've heard, it does, and I love that. I am such a stickler for magical realism books, especially in literary fiction. It just makes it a little bit more interesting. Plus, you know, I love all things magical, so this is something that's very high up on my TBR. It's been sitting on my shelves collecting dust for so long, and it's about time that I get to it. The next I have, this is a new release, but it was a long-awaited new release for me, and that is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichik. And I want to say that this is a debut novel from this author. I had received a preview email about this book 6 months ago, and I just was in love with the premise. I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get an arc of it because of everything happening. They weren't giving out a lot of physical arcs of this book, so I waited until release day to get my hands on it, and boy, I am so excited for this. This book starts with a witch's burning in Nordic times. It has to do with Loki and Odin and all of the Nordic gods that are so interesting to me and have a lot to do with practicing witchcraft and your gods and deities in the pagan religion as well. So I'm really, really excited to get to this. Hopefully very soon. And I keep saying I'm very excited. I have to think of another word to use about excited. But yes, this is about Loki's wife, I believe. It's a Angrboda story begins where most witches' tales end with a burning. A punishment from Odin for refusing to provide him with knowledge of the future. The fire leaves Angrboda injured and powerless as she flees to the farthest reaches of a remote forest. There she is found by a man who reveals himself to be Loki, and her initial distrust of him transforms into a deep and abiding love. I love Loki. Like, even in the Marvel movies, like, Loki is one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite gods. He's the trickster. He's interesting. Their union produces 3 unusual children, each with a secret destiny who Angrboda is keen to raise at the edge of the world, safely hidden from Odin's all-seeing eye. But as Angrboda slowly recovers her prophetic powers, she learns that her blissful life and possibly all of existence is in danger. With help from the fierce huntress Skadi, with whom she shares a growing bond, Angrboda must choose whether she'll accept the fate that she's foreseen for her beloved family or rise to remake their future. From the most ancient of tales, this novel forges a story of love, loss, and hope for the modern age. I love this so much, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Circe, a little bit, that kind of take on a underdog of a goddess, and I just can't wait to read this. The next book I'd love to get to is Dune by Frank Herbert. This is a very long fantasy series. I know that there's many books in this fantasy series. First of all, let's talk about this cover for a minute, how stunning this cover is, and the dyed pages and just everything about it. It's just the coolest book I own, I think. And I feel like once I read more about this book, I'll love the cover even more. But I really don't know anything else about the story, so I can't appreciate it as much. But this is a well-loved high fantasy, sci-fi fantasy, similar to the Star Wars saga in a way, but this does take place, I think, on another planet. It's the desert planet Arrakis. So it's really like a far-off science fiction-based story, and I'm just so excited to read this. It has been on my TBR for such a long time. I want to say this book was gifted to me 2 Christmases ago when Barnes & Noble had the special editions out, and I want to collect them all, but I promised myself that I have to get through the first book first in order to collect the rest in the series. So it is on my list of things to do. Let me know if you really enjoyed this. I know this is a well-loved fantasy series by science fiction fantasy lovers out there. I personally am not a huge science fiction lover, but I feel that I might really enjoy this since I love Star Wars. So yeah, let me know if you enjoyed this. I feel like it's gonna be a new well-loved fantasy series for me, but I have to start it first. I have to get through the first book. Let me know if you guys too have this on your TBRs for quite a while. Next, I have a book here that I promised myself and probably my viewers that I wouldn't read, but that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. Now, this is a stunning book. I give props to Cassandra Clare and all of her marketing team because they know how to market books. They make them so buyable that you just can't refuse them. I swear I did not want to buy into this series, but because the Infernal Devices series from Cassandra Clare was my favorite out of all of her series that she's written, I know that this is a spin-off of that. So I cannot wait to read that. I love the historical fiction mixed with the fantasy and the magical realism and fae and all of that. So this seems like it's going to be a new well-loved series for me. I know it's weird, but I just know that I will enjoy this because it does have all of those elements that I enjoy, along with it being YA. So it's definitely a little bit of an easier read, and I love that there's so much diversity in Cassandra Clare's books. She really brings that out into her characters, and she makes everything so inclusive. So I thank her as an author for making her stories so lifelike and beautiful and colorful. I just love them so much. So can't wait to get into this. If you've watched my videos in the past, you know how I feel about City of Bones, because Clary is just one of the most unfavorable characters I've ever read. For me personally, that's just my opinion. So I had a hard time making my way through that series. Simon really got me through that series because I love Simon so much, but it's just, I couldn't click with Clary. I couldn't connect with her, so I felt that it was a really hard thing to get through the series. But when The Infernal Devices came out, I really got into that, and I feel that I'm going to love this, like I said. Next book that I'd like to get to is The Book of Candle Magic, and this is by Madame Pamita. This is a book of candle magic, basically. I know nothing about candle magic. Yes, I light my candles, I say prayers, I say sigils, I put carvings on my candles when I'm doing spells, but I don't know the history of it. I don't know much about candle magic. I just do it. So I can't wait to dive into this and figure things out and know a lot more about the things that I do and why I do them, and learn new things, learn new spells. So this is fairly new to the mind, body, spirit genre, or if you'd like to say witchcraft genre. But I love this cover. I think it's so beautiful, and I heard this is an excellent book to read. I want to say you can probably get it on Scribd also if you're interested, so you can test it out on Scribd. And then I feel like with books like these, you need to have the physical copy. You don't get as much out of them by reading the ebook, but if you want to test it out and see if you like it, these are all like reference books to me. I feel that I always have to go back and refer to them, so I like to own them. But this just dives into all different forms of candle magic and how to use it, and I can't wait to read it. The next book that I'd like to get to is The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness. This is the third book in the Discovery of Witches series, and I still have not read this yet. I feel like I've been reading this series for years. I recently, during quarantine, reread Discovery of Witches and read Shadow of Night because I wanted to watch the TV show, and I still have the third book to get to, and the second book left off on such a cliffhanger, and I just don't understand why I didn't pick up the third book right afterwards, because I feel that now I have to kind of read the last couple chapters in Shadow of Night to get into this again. But I love this series, I really do. I know it's long and daunting and it's just a lot, but this is just like an adult playground for me. It is everything that I loved about YA growing up, with witches, vampires, magic, magical realism, historical fiction, old libraries, like things like that. All those things that I loved in YA growing up is in an adult series that I just eat up. If you're someone who loves history, loves things about literature and books and old world, if you're someone who loves witchcraft and Salem and England during that time of the witch trials, which lasted a lot longer in Europe than it did here in America, wow, check this out. What more can I say? And I have to say, the TV show is excellent. The acting is beautiful, and if you're looking for a new show to watch, check it out. But I definitely recommend reading the books first before you watch the TV show, because you'll know a little bit more about what's going on, because obviously they couldn't put everything from the books into the TV show because there's just so much info, and they're only doing 3 seasons. So if you read the books first, you'll just know a lot more and understand the story a little bit more. Highly suggest it. I love this series. I need to finish it. I have to finish it this year soon. Then the next book series that I would love to get to is The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I've heard nothing but excellent things about this. This is a book series about, I want to say, psychics and clairvoyance, and I just think that is the coolest concept ever, and I need to get into it ASAP. I don't know much, and there's really not much of a synopsis in the back of this book at all, but I cannot wait to get to this at all. Here, I'll read you the quick synopsis. In case you didn't hear the series, this was a very popular series back on BookTube, kind of like around when I first started and maybe even before, but I just never picked it up. I purchased it. I've had it on my shelves and I've never put it away because I did not want to forget about it. So it's been sitting on my shelves and I just still haven't picked it up. I don't know why. I think it intimidates me because how I get with series, it takes me so long to finish them. But I have to get under a regiment where I just do it and finish the series when I start it. But it says here, clairvoyance in all its forms has been decreed a criminal offense, and those who practice it have been forced underground to avoid vicious punishment. A clairvoyant underworld has developed, combating persecution and evading capture. Paige Mahoney, a powerful dreamwalker operating in the Seven Dials district of London, lives a double life using her unnaturalness illegally while hiding her gift from her father, who works high up in the Scion Regiment. That's like nothing to go off of. But there are like these little information things in the beginning of the book. So, and you have a map. So it seems like an epic tale. And I think it's about 4 books now. So it's time for me to get into this series. Then the next book that I'd like to get to is Fable by Adrienne Young. I have been hearing amazing things about this series. And I feel like a new book is coming out every week in this series, so I really need to read Fable and find out what it's about. I know it is a heart-wrenching feminist tale about a girl pirate, I believe, and it just sounds so amazing to me. I need to get into this. I love Pirates of the Caribbean, you know, that whole thing. So I feel like I might enjoy this. Seems like an original story, and Adrienne Young's writing is so beautiful and so advanced and so underrated. I feel like so many people haven't read her books yet, and you really should because her writing is beautiful. So I can't wait to check out Fable and the rest of the books in the series. It's probably gonna happen very soon. I feel like I could really fly through this. My friend Marcy loved this book. This is one of her favorite books of all time. So I have to see what she's talking about. I really do, especially since she too has read a lot of horror recently. So for this to be one of her favorites of all time, it has to be good. It has to be good. So the next book I'd like to read is Astrology for the Soul, and this is by Jan Spiller. This is a basics of astrology and the signs and basically your chart and things like that. I'm looking into learning a little bit more about astrology. I don't think I'll ever become an astrologer, but I do believe in it, and I feel that it's good to know some things about it. So I feel that this is a great introductory to astrology and things that you should know about your sign and other people's signs if you want to know yourself. But I think it's an interesting book, and I would love to get more into it. I read like a few pages recently and I just never picked it up again. So I'm hoping to get back into this year because I have been wanting to read this for a long time. I've been wanting to read books about astrology for a long time, but I've just been so busy, and I just think astrology is a lot to wrap your head around. It's a lot of information. It really is a lot of information. So I feel like I need some time with this book. Maybe in the summer when things calm down a little bit, I'll be able to pick it up. Then the next book that I'd like to get to this year is Wizard and Glass by Stephen King. It was my goal to finish the Dark Tower series this year, and I feel that my TBR just keeps growing, and I just haven't really been in the mood to read only Stephen King, and I feel like that's all I've been reading is only Stephen King lately, so I need to branch off a little bit. So I'll probably pick this up in midsummer, something like that, once I get a lot more reading done and get a lot of these books over here done before I read anything else by Stephen King for a little while. I love his writing, don't get me wrong. I just need some diversity. I need to read something else right now. I'm kind of getting like a little Stephen King burnout, if you know what I mean. Then next, I would like to pick up Kristen Hanna's The Four Winds. This just sounds like an amazing book, a tearjerker of a book. I love The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I love Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and I want to read more from her. Nobody writes like this woman. It is just beautiful, beautiful writing, and it just pulls at your heartstrings, and you fall in love with the characters. You feel like you know her characters so well, better than she knows them herself, and it's just so beautiful. So I can't wait to read this. I want to say it's about the Great Depression and how that affects a family and their farm, and as the years go on, what happens to them. So I can't wait to read this and follow this family and cry my eyes out at the end, because that's what I heard. A lot of my customers at work were talking about this book, and they kind of wish that they didn't read it, they were saying, because it is so heart-wrenching, and because of all the stuff that we're going through as a world right now, and then to read something like this kind of put them in a sad mood. But I'm ready for a tearjerker, so we're gonna read that soon. So I think that's it for all the books that I would like to get to this year, hopefully. If any more come up, I'll do a part 2 for this video for you guys. But that's pretty much it. That's all I really would like to get to, plus new releases, plus some other backlist books that I probably forgot about. So yeah, there's so many great books coming out this year, guys. I don't know how I'm gonna read them all. But let me know in the comments down below what you're excited to read this year. If you too have a lot of these backlist books on your TBR that you'd like to get to this year. And a few things before I go, just to let you guys know, a link to my Etsy shop is down in the comments if you are interested. If you like crystal jewelry, and if you like anything book related, like bookmarks and book sleeves, I also sell tarot sleeves and things like that. I will be doing a restock on my shop very, very soon, but I do have a lot of crystal jewelry on there, and crystals, and some other metaphysical things that you could use in your life. I feel like books and crystals go really well together. If you guys want to see more videos like this from me, please just like and subscribe down below. Comment your questions down below, and make sure you're following me on Instagram, because that's the only social media that I really have. I don't have Twitter anymore. I got rid of that a while ago. So just make sure you are following me. And also, all of my other book club details are in the description section of this video. But on that note, guys, I will be talking to all of you guys soon. Goodbye.